Today we are counting down the 25 most valuable releases ever put out by Vinyl Me Please. Let's go. So Vinyl Me Please started in 2013 as a Record of the Month club. They have now expanded their offerings to include classics, essentials, hip-hop, and country records, as well as a ton of exclusive pressings, some stuff that you can only buy if you're already a subscriber to the company, limited edition variants, and they've also become very popular with audiophiles for doing some all analog reissues of some cool jazz and blues titles. Always deluxe versions, different colored variants, deluxe packaging including some goodies, including, you know, posters, recipes, all this kind of fun stuff. This makes a lot of their albums very, very desirable and also very, very valuable, as we're going to get into today. So how did I put this list together? I painstakingly went through the 1,300 or so releases that Vinyl Me Please has listed on their Discogs page. I put all the ones that had high median values into an Excel spreadsheet, and I came up with this list. I'm only going to be doing single album releases, no multi-album box sets, so stuff like the Vanguard box, the Herbie Hancock box, not going to be included. Also, I'll say that I was initially going to do just a top 10, but there were so many albums that were very close in price. There's also so many much cooler titles between like 11 to 25 that I thought I would expand this one out a little bit. It's possible that these numbers are going to change quite a bit. There could be some moving up and down depending on if you were to look at a lot of these releases at a later date. When I pulled these in March 2023, this is what I got. So while these are all going to be in Canadian dollars, I am Canadian. No, I will not convert my currency. So with that all being said, let's get into the list. We have Lil Sims with Stillness in Wonderland, one of her earlier records, an artist that over the past couple of years has gained a ton of new followers and a ton of new press, having two of the most acclaimed hip-hop records of the last decade or so. Only 500 copies of this album were pressed. It's long out of print. Median price is $189. Next we have at 24, Lil Wayne with Thaw Carter 2. 2,000 copies of this were pressed on red vinyl. Obviously one of the biggest rappers of the last 20 years, one of his bigger albums. This was a much overdue reissue and clearly needs another repress down the road. Median price $190. At number 23 we have Whitney Houston with her self-titled 35th anniversary box set of Whitney. So this was a AAA reissue cut by Ryan Smith. It is a 2-disc set, so I was on the fence of whether or not to include it, but the second disc is Whitney's Dance Special, which includes songs from the actual album, but they're longer kind of dance cuts. $193 median. This is an album that actually was out of print or hard to find for a long time, so it makes sense that having this more, on paper anyway, better sounding version would be more desirable. At number 22 we have the Euphoria score by Labyrinth. There are 1,000 copies of this pressed on marble purple vinyl. In the past couple of years, and with the popularity of Euphoria, there have been so many reissues of this that this version is starting to go down on price. The last one actually sold for $95, and there's several listed under $100. Even with that, the median price is still $197, but I would expect this to drop off the list in the next few months. At number 21, we have The National with Cherry Tree. 1,000 copies of this were pressed on black and burgundy vinyl. This is a band that fans tend to go pretty crazy over different colored variants, limited edition versions of their records. There's all sorts of kind of weird, quirky stuff they've put out. So I get that this one is rare. The median price is $197. Next, we have the Sweaty Man, number 20, Earl Sweatshirt with his excellent album I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside. 1,000 copies of this were pressed onto blue marble vinyl, an album that has a rabid fan base of alternative hip-hop fans as well as kind of younger music nerds who like to spend up to get cool versions of the albums that they really like. This one has a median price of $202. Next, we have Carolyn Palachik with Pang. 500 copies of this were pressed by Vinyl Me Please. It has a die-cut cover and it's on smoke vinyl, making this one a little bit cooler than standard versions. Median price $210. At number 18 we have one of the very first record of the months that were ever done. It is Doom and Madlib with Mad Villainy. 3,000 copies of this were pressed. It is a desirable pressing of the record and the median price is $214. At number 17 we have Alexandra Savior with the Belladonna of Sadness. So there's only been 2 vinyl pressings of this done. There were 500 copies pressed onto green translucent vinyl by Vinyl Me Please. The album features Alex Turner from from the Arctic Monkeys, and it's also mastered by Bob Ludwig. Not sure if he cut the record, but the album was mastered by him. Assumably sounds pretty good. Median price, $227. Number 16, we have an album that I was on the fence about including, but I just thought it was such a cool release that I had never heard of and thought might be of interest to some, but it's Explorations in Sound, which is a compilation album that was done in conjunction with Vinyl Me Please and Marantz. It's a 4 LP set cut by Ryan Smith and pressed at Quality Record Pressings. Demonstration record with kind of these different sides that are showcase different artists from Vinyl Me Please, but also showcases just how good vinyl can sound when it is mastered properly and pressed at a good pressing plant. Median price, $231. I believe there was also an SACD of this made as well. Number 15, we have everyone's favorite industry plant, Clara, with their excellent album Immunity. 500 copies of this were pressed onto clear vinyl. Again, one of those fan bases, a little bit younger, a little more rabid, like to spend up to get cool variant versions of their albums. Super, super limited. Median price, $231. Only 500 copies on clear vinyl. At number 14, we have Future with DS2, one of the bigger hip-hop, more influential to, I guess, trap music records from the last 10 or so years. 1,000 copies were pressed onto purple vinyl. This album hasn't had a lot of pressings, which makes this quite valuable. I will say that there has been a recent repress that was done for Record Store Day, I believe Black Friday, that has dropped this one in price a little bit, but still extremely valuable. Median price, $235 for the Vinyl Me Please version. At number 13, we have 21 Savage and Metro Boomin with their album Savage Mode. There was only one of 2 pressings that have ever been done for this obviously being one of them. 750 copies on translucent red vinyl. Median price, $238. At number 12, we have Phoebe Bridgers with her sad indie opus, Punisher. This was done on pink and blue swirly vinyl. I think there were like 10 billion different versions of this album made, but there are only 500 of this one done. Foil stamped, very attractive looking record. Median $238. At number 11, we have De La Soul with De La Soul Is Dead. Only 1,000 copies of this were pressed on green and yellow vinyl. This is the first pressing of this album done in 10 years, and it's been long out of print. De La Soul's whole catalog has been kind of weird because there's been licensing and rights issues amok. Even these albums were not available on streaming forever. They're only now recently available, so you can finally listen to it. I know that some of their other albums have been getting more commercial releases. This one might be soon to be released in the future, but for the time being, median price is $244. We are now moving into the top 10. So at the number 10 spot, we have No Name with her album Telephone. So it appears, and I can't fully confirm this, that there were 2 versions of this album that have been pressed. There's the one that was done by Vinyl Me Please, where they sold 1,000 through Vinyl Me Please, and the artist sold 500 herself, and there was another version that sold 1,500 copies. So quite a popular artist, and very limited quantities for completionists, big fans. Obviously, they're going to want to get this one. Median price, $258. At number 9, kind of a cooler one, but it's Toots and the Maytals with Sweet and Dandy. 1,000 copies of this were pressed onto orange vinyl. This has only been pressed on vinyl one time in history. It was 1969, so this is the only official release that has been done since then. Fairly popular artist. You can stream this album. It's really good. I guess that's why it's so desirable. Median price, $272. At number 8, we have producer Madlib with his album Flight to Brazil. At the time, this was the only vinyl pressing of this album that had ever existed. There was about 1,000 copies, although I cannot completely confirm that. This has been reissued since. The median price is $278, although it is selling for less these days since it has been reissued. At number 7, we have the great southern hip-hop act UGK with their album Underground Kings. This is a compilation album, 3 LPs, 1,000 copies on wood grain vinyl. The first time this has ever been pressed on vinyl. Very cool collection. Median price, $283. At number 6, we have Justin Timberlake with Future Sex Love Sounds, one of the biggest selling and apparently best pop records of the last 20 or so years. Only 1,000 copies of this were pressed onto gray and black marble vinyl. Some people say this is a very good sounding record as well. An artist of this caliber putting out an album in limited edition, yeah, I get it. Median price, $291. So this is where the list gets kind of funny. It's one artist who occupies 3 of the top 5 spots. It's very obvious that the artist clearly doesn't like money, or the people who represent him don't like money that much, because they're allowing resellers to make all the profits that they could be making themselves if they were to, I guess, press these records themselves. But at the number 5, 4, and 2 spot, we have Young Thug. Number 5, Young Thug with Beautiful Thugger Girls, 1,500 copies. Pink vinyl, one of only 2 pressings that were done of this album. Median price, $299. Number 4, we have Young Thug again with Barter 6. 1,000 copies on red vinyl, one of 2 pressings, median price $299. Even the standard black vinyl version of this record that was not done by Vinyl Me Please, that would have just been available through normal retailers, $238. And I'm going to skip number 3 just so we can put all the Young Thug records together. Number 2 is Young Thug with Jeffrey. 2,000 copies of these were put out, 1,500 foil numbered, blue and white vinyl, median price $340. Young Thug, get your people to figure it out. Press more records. You'll probably make a lot of money off of it. So now let's take a step back. Let's go back to number 3. This is an album that I was very happy to discover through putting together this list, but it's the Yusef Days Trio with Welcome to the Hills. 500 copies, foiled stamp, black and silver colored Galaxy vinyl. The only vinyl pressing of this record that was ever done. And this thing is just straight fire. Not to, play on words just because the album cover is a drum set that's on fire, but just fire, incredible, super tight jazz fusion performance by some younger artists. Very, very cool. If you're a jazz fan who's maybe looking to explore some newer stuff, highly, highly recommended. Yeah, very, very desirable though. Median price, $306. If you might have noticed, some of these records had very, very similar prices. Some of them had a lot of the same prices. So I expect there to be a lot of movement over the coming days, weeks, months, whatever. And I know that this list might become out of date pretty quickly. So I wanted to include a few honorable mentions as well from some records that just didn't quite make the top 25, but hey, you never know. Maybe in a few months, these could easily be in that realm. So 3 honorable mentions that I have pulled. First one is Doom with Born Like This. 1,000 hand-numbered copies on gold vinyl. Median price, $182. Next, we have Krungbin with their album Con Todo El Mundo. There's an alternative cover that was done by Vinyl Me Please. 1,000 copies, milky blue vinyl. Again, band with very, very passionate fans. Median, $179. Very cool album. And we have Wise Blood with her incredible album Titanic Rising. 750 copies on peach melt vinyl. I believe that this has been out of print at the time of making this video for about a year or so. So even standard copies of this album have really gone up in price, but median $176. Here we are, the number 1 most valuable Vinyl Me Please record of all time. It is Still Woozy with Woozy Discography. Admittedly an artist that I had not ever heard of until doing this list. 500 copies black in orange vinyl. So something that's interesting about this is that this is the only time that any of these songs have been on vinyl. This is an artist that has come up from kind of the underground, developed a huge cult following. Many of his songs have well over 100 million listens on Spotify. So there are people wanting to get these, and people who really like these songs want them in their collection, clearly, and the median price is $451. He has another album that is available on vinyl that is also very valuable, but only 500 copies for an artist with this big of a fan base. There's a reason it's valuable. So that is the list. Those are the top 25 most valuable Vinyl Me Please releases. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.